What's going on, guys? So we are back for more of our coverage on the Philip K. Johnson Incredible Hulk series with issue 26, which on one hand gives us a closer look into the Hulkscape, which has been a very disturbing place for quite some time. But on top of that, with us knowing that Bucky Barnes has been looking for the Hulk because of what the Hulk's dealing with, things get dangerous for Bucky really fast. And aside from that, there's a lot of callbacks that come together in this issue, and I'll point them out along the way. But if you're just jumping in now, I got the full playlist in the description to get you caught up. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, this picks up after the Hulk vs. Thor issue that left the Sanctum Sanctorum in pretty bad shape, though it wasn't all their fault. But at the time when we saw Clea handling the repairs, she was soon after met by the arrival of Natasha Romanoff and Bucky Barnes, who at the time came here looking for the Hulk and Charlie to find out if they had a connection to the disappearance of 3 gamma-powered individuals, because they don't know who's taken them or why. All they really knew is that finding the Hulk was their best chance at getting to the bottom of this, which is what led them to the Sanctum and having this conversation with Clea. And aside from that, with them knowing that the Hulk has some kid with them, the only information or advice that they were able to get from Clea was that the Hulk is protective of this girl. So to gain Hulk's trust, they must befriend the girl. But going forward into issue 26, it's here where we're shown a little more information that tells us a whole lot more when you put it together with what we've seen happen so far. Because the first thing we're shown is a doorway, which is the same doorway we saw back in issue 16, when the Eldest took control of the body of Enkidu, who we were first introduced to as Tammuz in the Immortal Hulk Time of Monsters one-shot. But in Incredible Hulk issue 16, we saw the Eldest take his body and attempt to use his connection to the One Below All to release the Mother of Horrors, only to fail miserably like we saw at the time, to where later on in the modern age, the Eldest tried this again with Bruce's Hulk, but in this case she wasn't even able to claim the Hulk like she had done before with Tammuz. And fast forward to now, it's here where we find out that she's back at it again, and this is why she's taken these gamma-powered individuals in an attempt to use them in place of the Hulk. And we'll find out through the course of this who some of these missing gamma-powered individuals are. But before that, this starts out with the Hulk hearing the voice of the Eldest, with her saying, "Not enough. You weaklings are not enough. This door will be opened. If none of you have the strength, I will find one who does." And right now with Hulk and Charlie, who are in upstate New York, there's this moment here where Charlie has this deer eating out of her hand, and to her, she takes this as a sign of them being where they need to be. Because since the animals usually run away from normal people, and since they've come up here, the animals haven't ran from them, it's like Charlie takes this as a way of nature saying that they're not monsters, but instead they just weren't in the right place before. But when she shares this sentiment with the Hulk, he just basically gives her a blank stare and he walks away. Which is kind of hilarious. But like we saw before, the Hulk has a lot on his mind when it comes to Charlie and the real danger that she's in, since she's taken on the godskin of Lycana. And on top of that, he's seeing these visions and he's hearing the voice of the Eldest, so he needs some space. But when the Hulk walks away, Charlie asks her little Hulk buddy plushie, who I'ma just call the Devil Hulk plushie, the one she got from Magic Mart back in issue 4. But she just asks him, "What's his problem, Hulk buddy? What do you think he sees when he gets like that?" And so of course she responds forward as well, saying, Hulk, am Hulk, And as you would expect, this is just not very helpful. But even after the Hulk leaves, he still hears the voice of the Eldest, with her saying, "This door will be opened, if none of you have the strength." And then it's here where the Hulk hears somebody approaching, which takes his attention, just as he hears this person say, "We don't have to do this. I just came to talk," with this person being none other than Bucky Barnes. But as Bucky approaches, the Hulk still hears the voice of the Eldest, with her saying, "If none of you have the strength, I will find one who does." And so with the Hulk seeing Bucky approach while hearing the voice of the Eldest, this has the Hulk thinking that Bucky was sent by her. And you really can't blame the Hulk, especially after the whole ambush at the Sanctum Sanctorum situation. But nonetheless, when the Hulk winds up for this punch, man, the look on Bucky's face, it's an expression of pure fear, to say the least. Like the better half of the 1900s just flashed before his eyes. And even though the Hulk didn't connect, you can still tell by the poetry in the background that a hit like that would have sent him back into the early 1940s, back to the old Invaders days. But nonetheless, Bucky pretty much expected that this was going to happen, because he knew when he caught up to the Hulk, it was very likely that the Hulk would want to fight. So Bucky says to him here, "I thought you might do this. I loaded up on cosmic irradiated rounds just in case. Cap taught me that the key to fighting a Hulk is preparation." And as soon as he says this, the Hulk steps on a mine that Bucky had put down. That immediately starts a time disruption field, slowing down the Hulk to 1/50th of his normal speed, which basically gives Bucky a brief moment to say what he's got to say. So he starts by asking the Hulk what he meant when he told Bucky that he's with her, Cause like we talked about before, Bucky, he's not familiar with the Eldest and the whole crazy monster hunt that's been going on this series. But before Bucky's able to get a response out of the Hulk, which I assume would have been also at 1/50th of the speed, I mean if he was even gonna answer it, Charlie just jumps on Bucky's back. And at first she doesn't even realize who he is. All she really knows is that this guy's attacking the Hulk, so she's trying to help. But when she notices that this is Bucky Barnes, Charlie completely fans out. Cause like we saw at the start of this series, she's a huge fan of the Avengers, with both Captain America and Bucky high on her list of favorites. And at this time, Bucky's already pieced together that he's talking to Charlie Tidwell. But given her paranormal abilities, he's just like, yeah, you don't look much like your yearbook picture, kid. But Charlie just goes on with the fan talk, telling him, you're my hero, Bucky. No BS. You and Cap are my actual heroes. I wanted to be you since I was a little kid. But when Bucky tells Charlie what he knows about her, he's just like, I saw Clea Strange last week. She said you'd fallen ass backwards into some powers you don't understand. And that just had me like, yeah, Bucky, that sounds about right. But after all this back and forth, now the Hulk's free. And man, when the Hulk grabs Bucky from behind and he tells him, I'm gonna smash you like I smashed her. Listen, that's not something you want to hear from anybody, let alone a Hulk. And mind you, Bucky's still trying to find out who her is. He doesn't know who the Hulk's talking about. He doesn't know who she is or how she got smashed. All Bucky knows is that he don't want that. But Charlie, she knows what's going on, so she tries to tell the Hulk to stop and that Bucky's not with the Eldest. But at this point, Bucky, he's in full let me tell you something mode. He's like, come on man, listen. So he says here, 4 gamma mutates have gone missing in the past 3 weeks, Hulk. You know anything about that? I don't know if someone's kidnapping them or killing them or recruiting them, but it's not just bad guys. Doc Samson's missing, and so is your son, Scar, which right there tells us that an additional gamma-powered individual has been taken since Bucky's left the Sanctum Sanctorum. And if I had to guess who the others were, I'd say it's probably Betty and Crusher Krill, since we've seen the both of them in this series. And I mean, in Krill's case, we literally saw him get abducted, so that one's pretty obvious. But as far as Betty, we've seen her working with the Eldest from the beginning, so I wouldn't put it past the Eldest to just change gears from using Betty to get to the Hulk to using Betty as a substitute key to free the Mother of Horrors. So the Eldest has been busy, and even now the Hulk knows what Bucky's saying is valid, just based on what he's seen. So Bucky tells him, to be honest, you're not the one I came for. Let me talk to Banner. Only for Hulk to tell him Banner's gone. Go away, or you're gonna need more arms. And then man, I'm just gonna tell you right now, on behalf of James Buchanan Barnes, don't appreciate that tone, man. So after that, Bucky gets ready to leave, and he tells Charlie good luck, and that it's none of his business what she's doing here. But then he gives her a warning by letting her know that Hulk's partners usually don't come out so good, because being the strongest isn't the same as being invincible. And just before Bucky leaves, Charlie chases him down, and he entertains the conversation for a moment. And I would say for Bucky, it's likely that he's doing this because for one, it'll help with the investigation, but also there's a chance that he's taking a bit of Clea's advice as far as befriending Charlie, because he may need either the Hulk or Banner at some point down the line. But it's here where Charlie stops Bucky to tell him, I know the Hulk can be a jerk, but he got me out of a real bad spot with my dad. He saved my life a bunch of times. We go on adventures together, help people like you and Cap. He's a hero no matter what people think, no matter what he thinks even. So Bucky just tells her that's not what I saw back there. I saw Hulk without any hint of Banner in him. Neither of them will admit it. But Hulk and Banner need each other. A Hulk without Banner is just a monster. You and Hulk are in real danger right now, and Hulk's got no understanding of danger. Whatever's coming, you'll need Bruce Banner. And as Bucky leaves, he tells Charlie, you said I was your hero before. If that's true, I want you to really listen. Breaking up a team can be hard, but if you find yourself going in a direction you don't like, get out of there. Take it from me, there are worse ways to bust up a team than walking away. And later on that evening, you can tell that Charlie's still thinking about her conversation with Bucky. And I mean more so on the part where he told her that she fell ass backwards into some powers. Like she ain't forget about that. But while she's here with the Hulk, there's this moment where she tries to reach out to Banner. Much like what we saw back in issue 22 when her and the Hulk just left Vegas. When we saw Banner communicate with Charlie after the Hulk had taken over. And when Charlie tries this, it actually works, because she's able to travel to the Hulkscape and get a response from Banner. And when he asked how did she get here, Charlie tells Bruce what he had told her before about monsters being able to find each other, but also she'd figured if the War Devil was able to get in here, then she could find a way too. Because that was part of some of the crazy stuff we had seen between issues 7 and 8, with the War Devil possessing the different military veterans and going after Banner. and for a brief moment even getting to the Hulk. So yeah, just based on what we've seen so far, this telepathic monster network that we've seen Bruce, the War Devil, and the Eldest use, there's definitely levels to it. And really, I haven't thought about it until just now, but it's almost like the War Devil was better at this than the Eldest, even though she's definitely more powerful. But I think that has more to do with the War Devil's effectiveness leading towards grief and hatred, while on the other hand with the Eldest, as powerful as she is, and even though she can speak through this monster network, her mind control is limited to physical touch because the majority of her power revolves around her being the first Skinwalker. And of course, with her being the firstborn of the Mother of Horrors, the Eldest has a number of other abilities like pyrokinesis, telekinesis, even energy projection to an extent. But as it stands, we still don't know why she wasn't able to control the Hulk like the War Devil did for a brief moment. But this also makes me think of those situations where you have a character with one or two powers that are more effective in a specific scenario in comparison to another character who may have a dozen other abilities. Because I mean, this could just be that. So we'll just have to wait and see if we get that answer later on. But also when Charlie gets here and Bruce is telling her to leave before the Hulk finds her. But when Charlie gets here and she sees the place, she looks around and she tells Bruce that this isn't right and that it's gotta be some trick of the Eldest, which I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because that would fall in line with the Hulk fighting off the Eldest while locking away Bruce at the same time. Because like Bucky mentioned earlier, there's also this through line of Bruce and the Hulk needing each other, even though Hulk is at war with Bruce and the Eldest at the same time. But in the here and now, Charlie continues to go deeper, even with Bruce telling her to get out. But now Charlie's telling Bruce about the deer, saying the deer ate out of my hand. We're not monsters. We were just in the wrong place before, which right there tells you that she's not sure about this. Because when she first got here, she's talking about monsters can find each other. And now she's saying we're not monsters. So she's going back and forth quite a bit. While at the same time, she's trying to tell Bruce that the Hulk isn't a bad person, because ultimately she's come here to get Bruce out. But what ends up happening is she goes deeper in and Bruce is still telling her to leave before the Hulk sees her. But what ends up happening is Charlie, she sees Bruce suffering, and her whole experience in here is done in a very abstract way. And also the entire time that she's here, the art's different, but not long after she sees Bruce, she falls to the ground with a bunch of these demons, just moments before she's found by what she believes to be the Hulk. And after seeing all this, now Charlie's like, okay, well maybe the Hulk is a monster. But at the same time, with her not being aware of what she was actually doing physically in the real world, she's woken up with half of her face on fire because this whole time she had got too close to the flame. So of course Hulk's looking at her like, what the hell's wrong with you? But the crazy thing is, now Charlie has that same burn scar on her face that her father had given her before, which was gone after the Eldest brought Charlie back, only for Charlie to get scarred again. So in a lot of ways, it's like the story saying that people can't change, or at least that's what Charlie's being led to believe. Because when the Hulk tries to help her, she tells him to stay back. She tells him to get away from her. And as she transforms, she tells Hulk here, I saw the Hulkscape. I saw Banner. I saw. We were supposed to be the good guys. We're not monsters. Except we are. We're just monsters, like all the stuff we killed. We're just like them. And with switching to her god skin-like kind of form, it's a bit more vicious this time around, with her having the additional spikes and tendrils, and she just takes off here, leaving the Hulk while saying, I don't want to be like them. Because now for Charlie, after she saw what Bruce was going through, on one hand that has her thinking the Hulk is a monster, because she's asked the question before about what happens to Bruce when the Hulk shows up and Bruce goes away, only to not get that question answered. So for her to recently see what she saw and now believe that this is what the Hulk has been putting Bruce through, you can imagine how she feels betrayed in a way. And since Charlie really doesn't know what to do here, she just takes Bucky's advice and she gets out of there, because she doesn't like where this is going. But also going back to what I mentioned earlier about Charlie going back and forth between saying that they're monsters and that they're not monsters. Because of that, it seems like there's some things Charlie's gonna figure out on her own, especially with her noticing the Elder's influence inside of the Hulkscape. So I imagine that she's gonna figure some things out and find a way to get Bruce and the Hulk back together. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments on Bucky's encounter, the Eldest taking these gamma-powered individuals, as well as the new details on the Hulkscape, because there's a lot of moving pieces coming together throughout this story. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support, and for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.